Let's go back to your township, and you said it was Bethel Township.
Bethel Township, yes, it's located inside of Delaware County. Mm-hmm.
And so we saw in the video that we played earlier, we saw the kind of clip where you said that there were 50 to 70 votes that were being rejected right off the bat, and you said within the first hour, and that it continued all day. Now, in hindsight, and Leah, I'm sure you know that elections are an evolving thing, especially the election fraud, because something pops up where you're like, oh, I've seen that here, or something, oh, I saw that here. And this sounds eerily reminiscent of Maricopa's 2022 election and the 1920-inch ballot. So tell us about that.
Sure. So what people don't understand is that when ballots are created, these ballots that are used to be voted, there's a PDF, right? And it's supposed to be created with a certain size, and it's supposed to be tested, which is called logic and accuracy testing. That is supposed to be done by the book, by the statute, by the laws, and they're supposed to run this through prior to the election to ensure that obviously that these ballots can go through and that they're actually accepted and that everybody's in the right race and the ovals get filled in and so on and so on. So, so what we knew was that during the logic and accuracy testing of 2020, they didn't even use real ballots, which they're supposed to. They were actually using test ballots only. This is stuff we all found out later on. So on the day of election, it was happening all over the county because I was getting messages on social media and all over the place saying all of the machines inside the precincts were rejecting ballots. I mean, over and over. I watched it right in front of my face. And, this is again, and then you go into Maricopa, in 2022 and same thing was happening there. It was happening all over in 2020. So they weren't actually doing the logic and accuracy testing according to the law. So there's felony number one. And then once they started running these ballots through, they were being rejected. And then that's when Jim Savage came in and he was like, oh, it's the barcodes, just some ridiculous excuse of why, that didn't happen, even though he's responsible for the logic and accuracy testing to ensure that doesn't happen on election day. How convenient.
And you guys, if you have barcodes, I'm assuming you're using ES&S.
No, we actually use Hart InterCivic, which is that's good old Mitt Romney, who's connected to Hart. Yeah, Hart InterCivic, which is interesting. I found out one of the people that certified the machines with our Secretary of State at the time in 2019. He was working for the company that certified the machines in Pennsylvania and then later became a representative for Hart in 2020. Isn't that precious?
That's incredible how that works out. Our friend down from Tarrant County, Texas, Hyder Garcia, is now I think he's an executive vice president. I'm not sure the exact title that he has, but he's with Hart InterCivic now. It's funny. It's like a revolving door. It's kind of like the lobby, the industrial complex of, defense industrial, medical industrial, where they work for a little while and they end up getting a cush job with the companies that they were contracting with.
Yes, or as I say, how they move around pedophile priests.
Yeah. So did they ever find out what happened with those rejections and why it was doing that?
No, of course not. He didn't troubleshoot a single thing. He didn't even give us a new machine. He just kind of shut it down and was like, well, just keep running it through until it takes, or you can put it in this little slot here and we'll take care of it later.
Well, that's again, Maricopa, bin number 3, door number 3, they called it.
Yeah, we've got this. Trust the government.
Were you guys able to determine how many ballots that had happened to throughout the election?
No, of course not. No, I mean, there's no way to even, no. There's really, it's not like they would give us that information anyway, but we would have to have people literally in every single poll. There's 428 precincts. So you would have to have a person in every precinct there, for the entire day to be able to count. And then you get into the fact that they had drop-off spots in 3 different places because of COVID, right? So there was there was many places where these election machines were moved from the USB drives, they were dropped off to, and with the ballots, and then they were dropped off again and then again. So four times, 4 different kinds of hands. A lot of these volunteers that were helping to do these jobs were actually brought in by the Democratic Socialist known as Christine Ruther, who's the election board liaison for our county council. She's heavily involved with Indivisible, and that's who we recruited from, was Indivisible, to bring these people from all over the country into the counting center and the drop-off spots. And they were collecting the USB drives, which Greg later testified that there were 47. We later found out it was 61 in total, missing USB drives. Now, according to the certification of every machine, but specifically Hard Civic, it's Section X, because I remember it well, it says that there shall be a strict chain of custody for removable media. So if you lose them, I'm going to say that's not really a strict chain of custody for your removable media, the USB drive.
Yeah, not at all. Again, this is one of those things that we learn like as we progress through this and learn more and more. Because I mean, prior to 2020, elections wasn't really a main focal point of anybody. Nonetheless, on the fraud side, there's always been people, trying to get every single person that they possibly can to register to vote, because you're going to vote your way out of these stolen elections somehow.
Sure.
But one of the things that I did learn, and maybe just putting this in case you don't know, I'm sure you do, but the machines have what's called a protective counter on them. And so every time you run a ballot through, even if it's rejected, it's still tallying up one ballot through the machine. And so I would think that if you're able to somehow get, poll tapes at the end, which God only knows if they even have the poll tapes where y'all were at, Lord knows they didn't have them down in Georgia, you'd be able to look at the poll tapes and how many votes were counted and compare that with the protective counter for that day and get a rejection rate.
That's a great concept, Brian, except if you see in the video there, they were destroying poll tapes.
Exactly. That's what I was saying.
Right. And then regenerating the poll tapes and then giving us spoilated return sheets and poll tapes. So as you can hear, James Allen, who came from Cook County, and we'll go back to him in a second, he came after, but he's talking about obstructing, committing a felony, and spoliating election materials in order to, basically try to create this, whatever numbers that it is that they came up with, and try to throw us off. Except they didn't know that we had a whistleblower inside and we were working with Project Veritas, committing a sting operation. It's the only one actually in the country, quite honestly, that I know of during the 2020 election. But what's interesting about Allen, so the Democrats were actually talking about election fraud before we started talking about it in 2020, which is the irony of it. Because I ended up reaching out to a woman by the name of Dr. Laura Chamberlain. You should check her out. She's a Democrat. I spoke to her for about 45 minutes. She's out of Cook County. She sued Cook County back in 2016 during the primary to say that she proved that they stole the primary from Bernie Sanders, which we all knew. And guess how they did it, Brian?
No idea.
People on the inside that work the machines that you can't get to, that aren't actually government officials like Jim Savage, USB drives and stuffing the ballots. The same way that they did it in Delaware County. Now, Jim Allen, which is interesting enough, he was there when there was the investigation into Sequoia about being connected to Venezuela. And then Jim Allen also worked with Noah Prates from the elections group in Cook County. And then, of course, we inherited him in Delaware County in 2021.
The blob, the NGO blob that latches its fangs into communities and just relentless. And they're all over the place. Like, these NGOs have so much funding and such an extensive network that they're able to literally reach into the 20 swing counties that that Greg alluded to. They're able to reach into those and just latch on and do whatever the hell they need to do with it. It's crazy.
Right. And then you have Ryan Messias. Is that how you pronounce his name? Yeah. So he was with Noah Prates with the elections group, and he was in Maricopa at the audit.
Yeah, he was in Maricopa at the audit. He testified in the Kerry Lake trial. He was down in Georgia in Fulton County. I mean, the guy is just, he's all over. It's funny how the
It's crazy.
let's real quick, Leah, let's play the Savage video, the whistleblower video. This is the compilation of 2 of them.
This is Jim Savage and James Allen discussing getting rid of the pads and second scanners.
Pads and the second scanner. We got to talk about it now. Why? Go on.
Here's Tom Gallagher again, lawyer for Delaware County, destroying voting machine tapes to bypass the right to know request.
And then let them try to figure out. Right. What we did.
I mean, they're on video.
Uh-huh.
Mom, why do you have to rip it off? Makes you feel better?
We are, it's just so many, I don't want to try to pick it out and take a reach through stuff flat.
Oh.
We're gonna have a little campfire going.
I know.
What we have here is evidence. What we have there is evidence. Right? Let them figure that out.
Yes, but what I don't understand, and this makes me nervous, is why tapes were being thrown away. So what is...
Those tapes were...
No, you guys have been throwing away tapes. So what tapes are you throwing away? Like, why?
It's unidentifiable. There's no way they could, like...
But we've been that way since the November election, so why would you throw anything away? Because you have to save it for 22 months.
Well, let's put it this way. Yes, there are tapes that are being thought, but they are of no audit value. Of no audit value.